The massive ship appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning. It simply blinked into existence, hanging above Earth like a dark cloud that blocked the sun. The vessel was larger than anything humans had ever built, nearly the size of Manhattan. Within minutes, every military base on Earth went into high alert. Fighter jets scrambled into the sky, and missile systems locked onto the unknown target. Inside the Pentagon's war room, General Tom Harris stared at the massive screen showing the alien vessel. "What are we looking at?" he asked, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Sir, the object is approximately 15 kilometers long. It's holding position at 100 kilometers above Earth's surface," reported Captain Mark Wilson, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "No hostile actions detected yet." Before anyone could react further, every electronic device on Earth, from smartphones to military computers, began displaying the same message in perfect English and hundreds of other languages. "Greetings, citizens of Earth. You are now part of the 80s TLR Empire. Resistance is unnecessary. Accept your place in our glorious civilization." In Moscow, President Volkov slammed his fist on his desk. In Beijing, the military commission gathered in emergency session. In Washington, the president was rushed to the secure bunker. But for the first time in human history, old rivalries didn't matter. Within hours, enemy nations were sharing military intelligence, and former adversaries were coordinating defense strategies. At the United Nations building in New York, an emergency session brought together representatives from every nation. The alien ship had made no hostile moves, but smaller vessels had begun descending from the mothership, heading toward major cities worldwide. "They're positioning themselves above every capital city," announced the British representative, showing satellite images on the main screen. London, Paris, Beijing, Moscow, Washington, all of them. The UN Secretary General stood up, his face grave. "For the first time in human history, we face a threat that knows no borders, no nationalities. We must stand together." The vote was unanimous. In less than 6 hours, the Earth Defense Coalition was formed. Every nation's military would now answer to a single command structure. Ancient enemies became allies, and decades-old treaties were rewritten in minutes. Back at the Pentagon, General Harris received word that the smaller alien ships were broadcasting their own messages. "We come in peace. We will guide your transition into the Empire. Prepare your leaders for peaceful occupation." Peaceful occupation. General Harris laughed without humor. "They don't know much about humans, do they?" In orbit, the alien ships continued their slow descent. They seemed confident, almost casual in their approach. Their sensors detected Earth's visible military capabilities, jets, missiles, and satellites. But they missed something crucial: humanity's hidden defenses. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Admiral James Walker stepped into humanity's most secret command center. Screens showed the positions of every alien vessel. Around him, officers from 20 different nations worked together, coordinating Earth's response. "They think we're primitive," Walker said, addressing the room. "They see our civilian technology and think they know what we're capable of. But humanity has always been good at keeping secrets." He turned to his communications officer. "Is the quantum network online?" "Yes, sir. All orbital platforms are responding. Hidden bases on the moon are standing by." Walker nodded. He thought about humanity's history, thousands of years of warfare and innovation. While they had recently achieved peace among themselves, humans had never stopped preparing for threats from beyond. Hidden weapons platforms orbited in stealth. Secret bases on the dark side of the moon housed humanity's real fleet, and in underground bunkers around the world, weapons existed that no public document had ever mentioned. "Send word to all Earth Defense Coalition commands," Walker ordered. "Operation Watchdog is now active, but nobody moves until my command. Let's see what our visitors do next." Above Earth, the alien ships continued their approach, unaware that they had just made the biggest mistake in their empire's history. They had assumed Earth would be an easy conquest. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The next few hours would change the course of human history, and the galaxy itself, forever. Admiral Walker stood in Earth's hidden command center, watching as the Empire's smaller ships descended toward major cities. His face showed no emotion, but his hand tightened on the back of his chair. The time had come to show the aliens that humanity wasn't as helpless as they thought. All stations, report status, he ordered. Lunar Base Alpha ready. Pacific Defense Grid online. Atlantic platforms armed. Global shield at full power. The Admiral nodded. For decades, Earth's nations had been building these defenses in secret. While the public saw space programs struggling to reach Mars, the real work happened in classified facilities. Now, it would all pay off. One of the alien ships broke formation, diving lower toward New York City. People in the streets pointed and took videos as the massive vessel, shaped like a silver arrow, descended through the clouds. "Sir," Captain Wilson reported, "they're broadcasting again. Citizens of New York, prepare for your integration into the Empire. Resist and face consequences." Admiral Walker's expression hardened. "Send our message to the main ship. Just once. Let's see if they're good listeners." On every channel, in every language, Earth broadcast its response. "This is Admiral James Walker of the Earth Defense Coalition. You have entered restricted space. You have one warning. Stay away from Earth." The response from the Empire came quickly. Laughter. Actual laughter echoed through Earth's communication systems. "How amusing," the alien commander's voice boomed. "A primitive world showing defiance. Your species hasn't even colonized its own solar system. Know your place." Admiral Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Target the New York vessel. Minimal force. Show them what primitive looks like." High above Earth, hidden in plain sight, a satellite that appeared to be measuring weather shifted position. Inside it was technology no public scientist knew existed. A quantum cannon, developed by combining research from 12 different nations. The weapon fired. There was no beam of light, no dramatic explosion. The alien ship simply stopped working. Its engines died. Its shields flickered out, and it hung motionless in the air. Before the Empire could react, the ship started to rise, caught in an invisible beam. Earth's gravity manipulation technology, hidden in the building tops of New York, gently lifted the dead vessel higher and higher, until it was back in space. The laughter from the Empire's main ship had stopped. "Impossible." The alien commander's voice showed shock for the first time. "Your technology level." "Our scans showed what we wanted you to see," Admiral Walker replied calmly. "Here's a clearer message." The quantum cannon fired again. This time, it split the disabled ship perfectly in half. The cut was so clean it looked like it had been done with a giant knife. Both halves drifted apart, dark and lifeless. Silence filled all channels. In the command center, everyone held their breath. "You have weapons that can pierce our shields," the Empire's commander finally spoke, his voice harder now. "Interesting. But if you think one lucky shot—" "Look at your scan data again," Walker interrupted. "But this time, look behind your ship." The Empire's sensors suddenly detected movement from the dark side of the moon. Hidden bases opened like flowers blooming in space. Dozens of ships emerged, Earth's real fleet, built in secret over decades. Each one carried weapons just as advanced as the quantum cannon. "This is your final warning." Walker's voice was calm but firm. "Leave Earth space now, or we'll be forced to demonstrate more of our primitive technology." The smaller alien ships quickly began moving back toward their mothership. They had expected an easy conquest of a primitive world. Instead, they had found a planet with teeth. "The Empire does not retreat," the alien commander declared, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. "This defiance will be answered. Prepare yourselves." As the Empire's ships pulled back to a safer distance, Admiral Walker turned to his crew. "Send word to all Earth forces. This isn't over. It's just beginning." He was right. The Empire had never faced a species like humans before. They were about to learn why. The Empire's response came 3 days later. 500 warships jumped into Earth's solar system, their massive forms blocking out the stars. Each one was bigger than the first ship that had appeared over Earth. They formed a battle line that stretched from the Moon to Mars. In the underground command center, Admiral Walker watched the enemy fleet with calm eyes. "Right on schedule," he said. "They're doing exactly what we expected." The Empire's message thundered through all communications. "Your defiance ends today. Surrender now or face disciplinary action." General Harris, standing next to Walker, shook his head. "They still think this is just a punishment mission. They haven't learned anything." The enemy fleet launched thousands of fighters. They moved in perfect formation, a testament to centuries of imperial military doctrine. Their attack pattern was flawless, designed to overwhelm any planetary defense system. But Earth had been preparing for this moment. "Launch Operation Ghost," Walker commanded. Across Earth's surface, hidden doors opened in mountains, deserts, and oceans. From the depths of the Mariana Trench to the peaks of the Himalayas, humanity's real weapons emerged. Quantum shields flickered to life around every major city, invisible until now. The Empire's first wave of fighters hit these shields and bounced off. Their weapons, powerful enough to crack planets, couldn't leave a mark. "Activate the gravity nets," Walker ordered. Hidden platforms around Earth's orbit came to life. They bent space itself, creating zones where the Empire's ships suddenly found themselves moving in the wrong direction. Fighters crashed into each other, their perfect formation becoming their weakness. The Empire's commander's voice boomed again, but this time with rage. "Impossible. These defenses, they violate known physics." "Known to you, maybe," Walker replied calmly. "Lunar Fleet, you have permission to engage." From behind the Moon, Earth's hidden fleet emerged. Unlike the Empire's massive ships, Earth's vessels were small and fast. They moved like swarms of angry bees, darting between the Imperial warships. Their quantum weapons sliced through the Empire's shields like they weren't even there. "How?" the Imperial commander demanded. "Your species was supposed to be primitive." "We learned long ago," Walker explained, "that looking weak can be an advantage. While you watched our public space programs struggle with simple rockets, we were building something else entirely." Earth's ships demonstrated tactics the Empire had never seen. They used gravity weapons to pull Imperial vessels into each other. They fired weapons that ignored shields completely. Some ships seemed to be in 2 places at once, confusing the Empire's targeting systems. In the command center, Captain Wilson reported, "Enemy fleet has lost 30% of their ships. They're falling back." But the Empire wasn't done. Their remaining ships formed a new pattern. Energy built up between them, forming a massive web of power. "Planet killer formation," an analyst shouted. "They're going to try to crack Earth's crust." Walker smiled. "Activate the mirror field." Just as the Empire fired their combined weapon, a beam of energy powerful enough to destroy a planet, Earth's final defense revealed itself. A field of quantum mirrors appeared around the planet. The Empire's weapon hit this field and reflected back. The Imperial fleet had no time to react. Their own planet-killing beams struck their ships, tearing them apart in massive explosions that lit up space like new stars. When the light faded, less than a quarter of the Empire's fleet remained. They were already retreating, jumping away to safety. The Imperial commander's final message was shaking with fury. "This isn't over. The Empire will not forget this insult. We will return with a force that will." Walker cut off the transmission. He turned to his crew, who were cheering at their victory. "Don't celebrate yet," he warned. "This was just their first attempt. Now they know what we can do. They'll come back with something bigger." He looked at the tactical display. showing the retreating Imperial ships. But that's exactly what we wanted. Now they'll take us seriously. In space, Earth's fleet regrouped, preparing for the battles to come. The Empire had just learned a crucial lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous worlds are the ones that look harmless. 1 week after the battle, a single Imperial ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was smaller than the others, decorated with golden symbols that marked it as a diplomatic vessel. The Empire, it seemed, had decided to try a different approach. Dr. Emma Stone waited in the neutral meeting station that orbited between Earth and the Moon. As Earth's chief diplomat, she had been chosen to meet with the Empire's representatives. The station's windows showed both worlds, the blue marble of Earth on one side, the gray face of the Moon on the other. The Imperial diplomats entered the room. They looked almost human, except for their silver skin and pure white eyes. Their leader, who called himself First Speaker, bowed slightly. "We appear to have made some incorrect assumptions about your world," he said smoothly. Emma smiled politely. "That seems to be an understatement." The First Speaker sat down, his movements careful and controlled. "Our scans showed primitive rockets, basic satellites, limited space presence, yet you possess technology that rivals or exceeds our own. How is this possible? Tell me." Emma replied, "How long has the Empire been expanding through space?" 3,000 years, the First Speaker said proudly. "We have brought civilization to 1,000 worlds." Emma nodded. "And in those 3,000 years, how many wars has the Empire fought among itself?" The First Speaker looked confused. "None. We are unified." "That's the difference," Emma explained. "Humanity has had thousands of wars. We've spent most of our history fighting each other. Every weapon, every defense, every strategy has been tested and improved through conflict." She touched a button, showing holographic images of Earth's history. "While your empire grew through peaceful expansion, we grew through competition. Every nation kept secrets, developed hidden weapons, looked for advantages. When we finally achieved peace among ourselves, we didn't stop preparing. We just focused those preparations outward." The First Speaker watched the images with growing understanding. "Your public space program was a cover," Emma confirmed. "While the world watched rockets that could barely reach Mars, nations secretly worked together underground, in hidden bases on the dark side of the Moon. We developed technology along a completely different path than the Empire." "But why hide it?" another diplomat asked. Emma's expression turned serious. "Because humanity has learned that showing all your strength often leads to unnecessary conflicts. We wanted to be left alone. Your empire forced our hand." The First Speaker was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "How many other worlds have resisted the Empire?" "You tell me," Emma replied. "How many worlds did you dismiss as primitive without looking deeper? How many might be hiding their true capabilities, like Earth did?" The diplomatic team shifted uncomfortably. One of them whispered something to the First Speaker, who frowned. "There have been rumors," he admitted, "worlds that seemed primitive but had unexplained defensive capabilities. Planets that our ships mysteriously avoided. We always dismissed these reports." "Perhaps you shouldn't have," Emma suggested. She stood and walked to the window, looking at Earth. "Humanity doesn't want war with the Empire. We just want to be left alone. But if forced to fight, yes, we've seen what happens then," the First Speaker said quickly. He paused, then added, "There are those in the Empire who admire your species' strength, and others who want to crush us completely." Emma finished. "Yes, we expected that, which is why we're still building, still preparing." The First Speaker stood. "This meeting has been enlightening. I must report back to the Empire's Council. But know this, you have changed things. The Empire will never look at primitive worlds the same way again." As the diplomats left, Emma received a message from Admiral Walker. "How did it go?" She smiled. "They're scared, and curious, and divided about what to do next." Good, Walker replied. That gives us time to prepare for whatever comes next. Emma looked back at Earth, knowing that somewhere out there, other worlds were watching, waiting to see what would happen when a small blue planet dared to stand up to the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. News of Earth's successful resistance spread through the galaxy like wildfire. On the Empire's capital world, the Grand Council chamber erupted into chaos as reports of the battle reached them. 300 ships lost to a primitive world. One council member shouted, his silver skin turning dark with anger. This is unacceptable. High Commander Rex, leader of the Empire's military, stood before them. The humans hid their true capabilities. They have weapons we've never seen before, technology that works differently from ours. The council chamber was massive, with thousands of seats rising in circles toward a distant ceiling. Representatives from every corner of the Empire watched and whispered. For the first time in centuries, they faced a force that had not just resisted them, but humiliated them. There's more, Rex continued. We're getting reports from other worlds. Planets we thought were primitive are revealing hidden technologies. Earth's resistance has inspired them. On a desert world at the Empire's edge, alien creatures that looked like walking crystals gathered in secret caves, watching recordings of Earth's ships defeating the Imperial fleet. Their own hidden vessels, stored for centuries beneath the sands, were being prepared. In the oceans of another world, beings of pure energy held their own council. Earth has shown it can be done. Their leader pulsed. The Empire can be fought. Back in the council chamber, the debate grew heated. The Empire was splitting into two camps. One side, led by High Commander Rex, wanted to gather the Empire's full might and crush Earth completely. The other side, impressed by human ingenuity, argued for making peace and learning from Earth's different approach to technology. Think about it, said Council Member Vira, her voice calm against the shouting. Earth developed its technology through competition and conflict. The Empire grew through unity and order. Perhaps there are things we could learn from each other. Learn? Rex laughed coldly. They humiliated us. If we show weakness now, every world in the Empire will think they can resist. Unknown to the Council, this was already happening. Earth had begun receiving secret messages from worlds across the galaxy. Some offered alliance, others asked for help. Many simply wanted to learn how Earth had developed its defensive technology. Admiral Walker sat in his command center, reading these messages. How many worlds have contacted us now? He asked. 57, Captain Wilson reported. All of them hiding capabilities from the Empire. All of them waiting for a chance to break free. Dr. Stone, who had returned from the diplomatic meeting, added, the Empire never imagined that forcing worlds to hide their strength would lead to this. They created their own worst nightmare, an alliance of worlds that developed in secret, differently from them. The Empire's spies brought more troubling news. Worlds that had been quiet for centuries were suddenly going dark. Ships disappeared from normal trade routes. Strange energy readings appeared and vanished. High Commander Rex paced in his private chambers. We should strike now, he said to his advisors. Gather every ship, every weapon. Turn Earth into dust as a warning to others. But even as he spoke, more worlds were choosing sides. The Empire had ruled through unity and overwhelming force. Now that unity was cracking, some worlds openly supported Earth. Others pledged to help destroy it. The peaceful Empire was dividing itself. In Earth's command center, Walker watched the reports come in. They're preparing for a full invasion, he said. The Empire will throw everything they have at us. Dr. Stone nodded, but we won't face them alone. Look. The screen showed new signals, ships appearing from hidden bases on dozens of worlds. Technologies as different from the Empire's as Earth's was. A resistance that had grown in secret for centuries was finally ready to emerge. The Empire thought they ruled a peaceful, unified galaxy, Walker said. They didn't realize they were sitting on top of a powder keg, and Earth just lit the fuse. The galaxy was about to change forever. and it had all started with one simple warning: stay away from Earth. Earth's hidden lunar base buzzed with activity. Representatives from 30 different resistance worlds had gathered in its massive conference chamber. Some looked almost human, others were completely alien. Beings of pure energy, crystalline creatures, and forms that hardly made sense to human eyes. Admiral Walker stood at the front of the chamber, with Dr. Stone beside him. On the main screen behind them, a map showed the Empire's territory splitting into colored zones, those loyal to the Empire in red, those supporting the Resistance in blue, and those still undecided in gray. The Empire is bringing its full fleet, Walker announced. Over 10,000 ships. They'll reach Earth in 2 weeks. A being of pure energy pulsed with speech. Our world can provide 200 ships from our hidden fleet. The crystal caves of Drakon hold 500 more, another representative added. One by one, the hidden fleets of the galaxy revealed themselves. Worlds that had been preparing for centuries were finally ready to fight. Each had developed their technology in secret, just as Earth had. Dr. Stone stepped forward. But we won't win this fight with ships alone. We need to be smarter than them. She touched a control, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a new kind of weapon, one that combined Earth's technology with innovations from a dozen other worlds. We call it the Liberty Shield, she explained. It uses Earth's quantum technology, combined with crystal energy from Drakon, and the gravity manipulation of the Void People. When activated, it can protect an entire planet. The room erupted in excited discussion. For centuries, these worlds had developed their technologies alone, in secret. Now, for the first time, they could share their innovations. Back on Earth, cities had been transformed into fortresses. The public finally knew the truth about humanity's secret preparations. Instead of panic, there was determination. Humans had always been good at facing impossible odds. In orbit, ships from dozens of worlds trained together, learning to combine their different technologies and tactics. Earth's small, fast ships flew alongside crystalline vessels that seemed to phase through solid matter. Energy beings powered organic ships that looked like they had grown rather than been built. Admiral Walker watched the combined fleet practicing their maneuvers. A month ago, each of these worlds thought they were alone in hiding their strength. He said to Dr. Stone, "The Empire's greatest mistake was forcing us all to develop in secret." Captain Wilson rushed into the command center. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures. The Empire's fleet is jumping in early. They'll be here in 3 days." Walker nodded calmly. "They're hoping to catch us before we're ready. Send the signal to all allied worlds. Operation Freedom begins now." Across the galaxy, hidden bases opened. Secret fleets emerged from underground hangars, ocean depths, and dimensional pockets. The resistance that had grown in shadow for centuries was finally showing itself. Dr. Stone coordinated with the alien engineers, rushing to complete the Liberty Shield network. Teams worked around the clock, combining technologies that had never been meant to work together. The Empire built their power on unity and conformity, she told Walker. Every world had to develop the same way, use the same technology. But by forcing some of us to hide, they created something much more powerful: diversity. Walker looked at the tactical display, showing thousands of ships converging on Earth. The Empire's fleet was enormous, but every ship was the same. The Resistance fleet was smaller, but every vessel was unique, carrying technologies the Empire had never seen. 3 days, he said. 3 days to prepare for the biggest battle in galaxy's history. He turned to his communication officer. "Send a message to every Resistance world. Tell them, the Empire thought they could control the galaxy by forcing everyone to be the same. But our strength comes from our differences, and now those differences will set the galaxy free." As the message went out, ships continued arriving in Earth's orbit. The final battle was coming, and it would change everything. The Empire's fleet darkened the sky above Earth. 10,000 ships stretched from horizon to horizon, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a continent. High Commander Rex stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the combined resistance fleet with cold eyes. "Pathetic," he said. "Barely 3,000 ships. Their differences make them weak. Fire when ready." The Empire's fleet released its first volley, a wave of energy that could crack planets. But as the blast approached Earth, something unexpected happened. The Liberty Shield activated, a network of quantum fields, powered by a dozen different alien technologies, surrounded Earth and its allies. The Empire's attack didn't just bounce off. It was absorbed, transformed, and redirected. Admiral Walker's voice broadcasted across all channels. "That was your warning shot. The only one you'll get. Stand down or face the consequences." Rex laughed. "Destroy them all." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The Empire's ships moved in perfect formation, their attacks synchronized and powerful. But the Resistance fleet fought differently. Each world's ships used tactics the Empire had never seen. Earth's vessels darted between enemy ships, their quantum weapons slicing through Imperial shields. Crystal ships from Drakon phased through solid matter, appearing inside Imperial vessels. Energy beings transformed enemy weapons into harmless light. In the command center, Dr. Stone monitored the Liberty Shield. "The network is holding. Every attack makes it stronger, just as we planned." The Empire's neat formations began to break. Their identical ships and similar tactics became a weakness. They couldn't adapt to the Resistance's diverse fighting styles. High Commander Rex watched in horror as his fleet started to crumble. "Impossible. We are the Empire. We brought order to chaos." "No," Walker's voice replied. "You forced everyone to be the same. But look around you. The galaxy isn't meant to be the same. Our differences make us stronger." The Liberty Shield pulsed with gathered energy. At Walker's command, it released everything the Empire had fired at it, but transformed, enhanced by the combined technology of 30 different worlds. The blast cut through the Imperial fleet like paper. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries fell apart. Rex's flagship split in half, its crew escaping in pods. The remaining Imperial ships began to retreat. But something else was happening across the galaxy. Worlds that had been watching and waiting made their choice. The Empire's grip on power crumbled as planet after planet declared independence. In the ruins of space around Earth, Admiral Walker and Dr. Stone met with representatives from hundreds of worlds. Some were former Imperial planets, others had been in hiding like Earth. Together, they formed something new, the Alliance of Free Worlds. "The Empire tried to make us all the same," Dr. Stone addressed the gathering. "But our strength comes from our differences. Each world will remain free to develop in its own way, to follow its own path." The first law of the new alliance was simple. Every world had the right to develop without interference. The old Empire's forced unity was replaced by voluntary cooperation. High Commander Rex and his loyal followers retreated to a distant corner of the galaxy. The Empire that had ruled for 3,000 years was reduced to a fraction of its former size. In Earth's orbit, Walker watched ships from the new alliance working together to clean up the battle debris. Each vessel was different, each species unique, but all working in harmony. "Did you ever think," Dr. Stone asked him, "that our one warning to stay away from Earth would lead to all this?" Walker smiled. "Humanity never wanted to rule the galaxy. We just wanted to be left alone. But sometimes, standing up for yourself means standing up for everyone else too." As the sun rose over Earth, news spread across the galaxy. The Empire that had forced uniformity for 3,000 years was gone. In its place, a new alliance had formed, one that celebrated differences instead of fearing them. And it had all started with one simple warning from a primitive world called Earth: stay away.